The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
You had a black professor at Boston College, who was talking about how reparations would destroy the black community. I agree with him. And thank you guys for joining me for the Daily Read. This is going to be a deep conversation. You guys are going to be on iHeartRadio and YouTube. I stream on a lot of podcasts. Lisa, Talmadge, Janet Johnson, Chris Gray. Thank you guys for joining me. Shy the Virgo, thank you for joining me. Before we get started in reparations, I want to speak to some of my people out there who watch me on iHeartRadio, who listen to me on iHeartRadio and podcasting, and for some of the people who follow me on YouTube. I used to do my liquor tasting at the beginning of the show, but since I'm streaming live on Big O has certain rules that I can't do, certain things that I can't do on Big O. Thank you guys for joining me. Now, I'm going to do some changes to my show. I've been doing this almost 3 years, and I'm going to do some changes to my show. And one of the changes is going to be, thank you, Chris, for coming in. One of the changes is going to be, I'm going to do my liquor tasting at the end of the show. And for those of you on Big O who've never seen my show before, I do liquor tasting. I go to the liquor store down the street. My partner Ali, he brings out liquor that I've never tried before. And I bring it here to the show, and I give it a rating from 1 to 10 on the taste, from 1 to 10 on the smoothness. Do you have to mix a chaser with it, and things of that nature. So if you ever want to see my liquor tasting, go to YouTube. I can't do it on, thank you Raz for joining me, thank you Prince for coming. But if you want to see my liquor tasting, you're going to have to go to YouTube. I can't do it on Big O. I'm going to do it at the end of the show once I disconnect from Big O. Okay, I want to give you a brief synopsis of who I am. I was a single father for a long time. I raised 2 kids. Both of my kids are grown. I got 3 grandkids. I'm an ex-gang leader for about 11 years. I left the streets because when I got custody of my kids, I felt like if I wanted to be around to see them grow and prosper, I need to do something different. I'm a truck driver now. I drive trucks, and I try to help out people in my community. I am a Mason, and we do thank you Craig for coming, and we do charity work in the Nashville, Murfreesboro, and Clarksville area. That's basically sums up who I am. I've been all over America. I have different nicknames all over America. You can go to North Carolina, they call me Butch. Thank you, Shy. You can go to Texas, they call me Black Clouds. My Mexican partners call me Black Clouds. So I got nicknames all over America, but I decided to start this podcast about 3 years ago when Donald Trump won the election, because I saw, thank you Savage for joining me, I saw a change in the white population to bigotry on a scale that hasn't been seen since the 60s, the 50s and 60s. And I'm a 70s baby. I came along right at the end of it. So I know we still had kids in our schools that would call you the N-word. And you can see it when you go into your workplace. You can see it. Hot man for Democrats. Thank you for joining me. You can see it in the workplace when you go in there. You can basically tell a Trump supporter. You can see it in their face. They was gleeful. And you never knew, working around people so long, the inner hatred that they had, because the country to them is being shifted more towards a black and brown and white mix. This plays right into the whole reparations bill, and the reason why I know it's going to destroy America. And if you guys on Big O, man, tap it up. We're gonna flame this up. Tap it up. Give me some taps. Tap it up. But this right here is gonna affect us so bad that you're not gonna recognize us as a people. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because some of y'all need to understand this. We waste a lot of our time. Thank you, Elijah, for joining. We waste a lot of our time on things of there's no real importance on our lives. And I try to bring here to my show things that will affect you that you need to know about. Like the fact that Donald Trump, in the time he was in office, he put over 300 judges on the bench. These are men and women who are going to be on the bench for a lifetime appointment. That means when your black child breaks a window and a white kid down the street breaks a window, thank you, Elijah, when they break a window and they go before their judge, your child might get a year and a felony, which is going to hurt him in life. The white child might get probation and get sent home. There's a difference. These are things that affect our lives for decades. And our people need to know about this. You can ask anyone that have seen my show on YouTube or listen to me on podcast. I'm serious. I'm a jokester now. I am. I'm a jokester. I can stream tomorrow, but I usually do one show a week. And if I do stream, I be asking people what do they want to hear a topic on my show. So if I do stream, it'll be more of a feeler. Hot Men for Democrats. It'll be more of a feeler than me doing my show. My show is usually on Sunday, but Island Vibes, I want to thank Island Vibes for joining if they're watching. The reason why I'm doing my show today is because, this is the time that I have to show them my worth as far as I produce my own show. And thank you, Deborah, for joining, and Merrill. But I produce my own show. I upload my own show, and my team is limited. I have people in India and other places that do my intros, my outros. I outsource my work on that. But I just wanted to give the people out there a sense of who I am and my background. I done lived on both sides of the tracks. I done been wealthy, I done had money, and I've been poor, sleeping on the bus. And it's cold when you sleep on the bus in the middle of the winter. You have no place to go. I've been out here. And I've been on the other side of the tracks where I'm good in life. So I can bring something to the table as far as podcasting if you choose to listen. Some people get caught up on what Tony Braxton's hair looked like on the Braxtons instead of listening to what's going on and not knowing that the things that these people are moving, how they moving, it's going to affect you and your kids, especially if you're a minority. It's going to affect you for decades. This is not something that's to be trifled with. This show right here, I'm going to open up the phone lines at 4:50. I usually have my phone lines open during the show. But like I said, since I'm streaming on Big O Live, I'm going to have to change my format on my show to adapt to this. So at 4:50, I'm going to open up the phone lines. I'm going to give out the phone number for the show. And anything you hear, you want to speak your piece. You know what I'm saying? Speak your piece on the show. And then hang up and make room for somebody else to call. Let the people hear how you feel about this after I get through telling you what's exactly going to happen. And when I get into this first commercial break, when we come back, we're going to dive right into it.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Now, if you heard what that woman said, for some of you who don't watch me on YouTube or catch me on podcast, like I said, Big O, you can't see a lot of the things that's on my screen. But the median net worth of white America is $171,000 a year. The median income of black America is almost $17,000. That is a big wealth income inequality. Thank you for joining me, KRE8. Thank you for joining me. That's a big income inequality right there. Thank you, Frankly Cheat. Thank you for joining me. And We have other things we can be doing besides talking about reparations. You see, black politicians are just like the white ones. They'll tell you what you want to hear because they know people want money free. And they'll tell you what they want to hear, but see, they see the numbers. I studied the numbers, but they actually have the numbers because they're in Congress. They know it's going to be impossible to give you reparations, but they say it to get your vote. Let me explain to you why you're not going to get reparations. I dated a girl in Sioux Nation. She was a Sioux Indian in South Dakota, and I've seen their checks. I thought they were racist when I first went out there, and I got to finding out a little bit about their history. If their bloodline gets cut short, they lose their money. So they don't want whites and blacks dating their women, dating their men. They don't want people out there that's not Native American to be a part of their culture. They accepted me because they couldn't chase me out of there. That's the only reason why they even allowed me to stay out there as long as I did. But if I would have had a child by this woman, my daughter or son wouldn't have been able to get a check. And it's the same thing with black America. You got a whole bunch of yellow bones and red bones out here. All you got to do is look on Big O, scan through some of these pages, look at some of these women, some of these men. Half of these people are not going to get a check. It's going to cause a division in the black community. Y'all got to understand how this is playing out. They're going to check your blood, and if you got 10%, 15% African, and 60% Irish, you some little light-skinned person running around here talking about you black, and you are, we consider you black. If you got one parent that's black, you black. But in the government eyes, when they start cutting them checks, you're not going to get one. They consider you Irish or other. They don't consider you black. And see, this is what people got to understand. When they start cutting them checks, they're going to check your DNA. That's just the first problem. I haven't even started. I got a whole list of problems that's finna happen with this. The second problem is, and I got a young lady on here that me and her was talking last night. She's Puerto Rican. She's a part of the Premier family. It's a Premier. She's a part of the Premier family, and she's Puerto Rican. And Puerto Ricans are black people. Dominicans are black people. The Virgin Islands, they black people. Haitians, Jamaicans, they black people. When the slaves came here on the boats, on the slave ships, they went to the islands first, and they got buck broken. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm not going to go into that. But look it up, because if you're a black person in America, you need to know what that is. They break you so you won't run. Thank you, Boss Mary, for joining me. But if you don't know what buck broken is, look it up and find out what it is if you're a black American. You need to know this. Those people down there on the islands are black people. And they're not going to be able to get a check. Because number one, Jamaica and Haiti are basically part of France. France gave them their own freedom. But America's going to tell Haitians and Jamaicans, if y'all want a reparation check, y'all got to go to France and get that. So now you got hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans and Haitians in this country. They're not going to get a check. Then you got Puerto Ricans and Dominicans in the Virgin Islands. They're territories of the United States. And by being territories of the United States, they have their own autonomy, which means they're not going to get a check. The only way America's going to give them a check is if they become a part of the United States. And if anybody know Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, you know automatically these people are proud of their heritage. They will wave that Puerto Rican flag in the mirror, on the front door. I got a cousin who's half Puerto Rican. Every time he pull up in his car, he got that Puerto Rican flag hanging off his little mirror. You know, so you already know. Them people is not going to want to give up their freedom of being their own country just to get $700 check. They're not going to want that. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you, Franklin. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. But they're not going to want to get it. They're not going to want to get it up their own freedom and to do what they want to do down there in Puerto Rico just to get a $700 check. Because I've seen Native American checks. I've seen them. Those checks. I've seen those checks. Those checks is not what you think it. What you think it. I can spend $600 in 30 minutes. Once you get that, thank you, Fats. Thank you, Ambitious, for joining. But once you get that check, it's going to be gone. So now you got two problems. You got one problem is you're going to split the black country up, the black nation up, black people against light-skinned people. All these red bones and yellow bones, they're not gonna get a check. Once they check their blood and they got 60% Italian and 10% African and Indonesian mixed in somewhere, you're not going to get a check. You can hang it up. So now that's just two problems. Here comes the real kicker right here. Look at 21 Savage. 21 Savage been in America since he was a kid. He's from England. You got black people like him who been in the country so long but not from this country. They're not going to be able to get a check. But you know somebody slick like him might try to go down there and get one. And as soon as one of his girlfriends get mad at him, she gonna call the feds and say, hey, thank you, Panther, for joining me. She gonna call the feds and say, hey, man, my ex-boyfriend, he ain't supposed to be getting no reparation check. He from England. You see what I'm saying? So that's three problems right there. Back in the 1930s, you had an influx of immigration in this country after the Great Depression. I know because I looked this up, people. I don't talk about on this show right here. If you catch me on podcasts on iHeartRadio, or if you catch me on YouTube and you go back on my previous shows, you will know, especially my listeners out there who've seen my show before, you will know that when I bring something to you, I done already studied it. It's up to you to go and study it. I done already looked at it. These people are gonna test your blood, see what kind of percentage of African you got, and if your blood is more European than black, you're not gonna get nothing. If you're 1/3 African, like the Native Americans, they're not gonna do us no different than the Native Americans. If you 1/3 African, I don't care how much you call yourself black, they're not gonna give you nothing. They're gonna tell you to get up out of here. We're not giving you nothing. I have another young lady. Me and her was talking on the on Big O Live. She's a part of our team. She's a part of our team, people. And she's team premier. And she was telling me about her husband being white. And I was picking at her about, that's why Stone Cold Steve Austin retired from wrestling. I was just joking with her. But that's going to cause a problem. 2 of her kids are black. If she has kids by this white man, one of her kids in the household will not, thank you, boss. One of her kids by this white man will not be able to get a check. That's going to cause confusion in her household. Now, what if her white husband says, hey, forget that check. I can take care of the family. We doing good. We don't need that check. What if she says, you know what? I want that check because they owe us. Now you causing problem between husband and wife. This is going to be a very bad thing if they keep trying to push this reparations. And I'm not even done. Not by a long shot. How you going to pay yourself? I want y'all to think about that see, this is where the comedian comes out of me. And if y'all don't know, if y'all ain't never seen my YouTube, I do comedy. And this is where the comedian part comes out. How you gonna pay yourself, people? You a taxpayer. You gotta get reparations out of tax money. That's like if I rent you a house and I come and say, where my rent at? And you give me half the rent. And you say, man, look, you pay the other half. No, you owe me all that. I want all my money. How you gonna pay yourself? You a taxpayer. What they should have did when they freed the slaves, what they should have did was gave them reparations. because the whites, because slavery back then, they were not taxpayers. They didn't pay taxes. So that means the white people back then would have had to come out of their pocket and pay them for slavery. That would have been fair and even. It wouldn't have been an even trade because slavery was horrible. But it would have been something that they given out of their pockets to them. If we get reparations right now, 200 years later, you paying yourself. You know what they're going to turn around and do? They're going to raise the taxes. So now we right back to point A, where we started from. You paying yourself, making you feel good because you got some money from the government. But then as soon as you go down to the supermarket, you're going to have some smart ass like me standing behind you watching you pay for your groceries. I'm like, man, you finna spend that check, ain't you? And I'm gonna laugh at you like, man, that's your money that you done paid in taxes. You getting it right back, and then you gonna give it right back. You know, it's crazy. But it ain't over with that. We got another problem. After all of that I talked about, we got another problem. This is what the next problem is with reparations. Again, in the 1930s, there was an influx of immigration. Africans, Asians, you had Italians, Germans. They came here to this country through Ellis Island. For those of you who joining me on live, that's from the New York, New Jersey area, y'all know. Back in them days, people came in by the boatloads from everywhere. Those people forefathers was not involved with slavery. So now what's going to happen is they're going to rise up. Thank you, Heem and Jeff, for joining me. Those people are going to rise up. They're going to storm. They might storm the Capitol. They might storm the Capitol again. They might say, man, look, and guess who's going to be with them this time? Puerto Ricans, Jamaicans, Haitians, and Dominicans, and the Virgin Island people that's in this country. They're going to be, thank you for joining me, ID 7022. But these people are going to be like, man, I can't get a check. I don't want them to get a check. So they're going to be right there with them. All them white people saying, we ain't trying to pay y'all because we weren't involved in slavery. And I'm going to give you an example of what that means. People. I move into a house. Say this house is America. Okay. I like giving these examples like this. And see, at the end, I'm not going to just tell you we shouldn't get reparations. We should leave it alone. At the end of the show, I'm going to tell you why, in a way that we can shorten the wealth inequality with us black people in this country. There is a way we can go about it without reparations, because that's going to destroy us. But there is a way we can go about it to where we can shorten the income, wealth, the inequality between blacks and whites in this country. And I'm going to talk about that in a second on the last part of the show. But yeah, jack of all trades, right? So what's going to happen is, say the house is America. Okay, for all my truck drivers out there, you know, that follow my show, y'all like how I get these analogies of how things go. Say the house is America, and this old white lady, she represents white America. The kid that she kidnaps and tortures for years is black people. Police come in, arrest the woman, free the child. He grows up, has kids and grandkids. I move into that house. Somebody's grandson come knocking on my door and say, hey man, my great granddaddy was beaten and destroyed in his house. You gotta pay me. I'm gonna tell that kid, man, get lost. I ain't paying you nothing. And that's exactly what these people gonna say. These people have been in this country since the 30s, done raised their kids here, they foreigners, their kids go to school here, they pay their taxes. They gonna stand up. They gonna say, man, I don't want my taxpayer money going to no reparations. What they gonna say is, y'all white people pay. And it's gonna be a big mess. And then you're gonna have light-skinned people. And see, this, like I said, this is where the comedian comes out. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have the dark-skinned people. They're gonna be like, I ain't gotta clap cheeks no more. The dark skinned girl, they were like, man, I ain't gotta clap cheeks no more. I get my reparation check. So the light skinned girl, they were like, man, I still gotta get out here and hustle. Thank you, King Black, for joining me. But you know, we ain't gotta clap cheeks no more for them coins, for them beans. What's up, family? I'm talking about this reparations, man. I'm gonna leave the phone lines open. It's a premiere, yeah. I'm gonna leave the phone lines open at I'm gonna open up the phone lines at 4:50 so y'all can call in and give me your thoughts. Make it brief so other people can call in and give me your thoughts on how you feel about this. Oh, that's my cousin. Speaking of my Puerto Rican cousin, he just texted me. But as a matter of fact, for any of y'all who ever been to Chicago, Hot 97, Shondell Hundley. He was on Hot 97. Some of y'all might know Hot 97 if you're from the Chicago area. That's my cousin. He's part Puerto Rican. And he's proud of that too. He's the type of person, man, he's not going to want no reparation check because he like, man, Puerto Rico is going to be Puerto Rico. We ain't taking no $700 check. Yeah, King Black, he know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's my cousin, man. That's my first cousin. You know what I'm saying? But, and thank you, King Black. But, so now, you know, when you got a house that was built on slavery, but other people done moved in, they're not going to want to pay for this. They're going to like, man, this ain't our problem. That's something white folks and blacks going to have to figure out. Thank you, Shorty, for joining me. I'm going to get into this next commercial break. And when we come back off the show, and I do commercials for $50 a session, a commercial slot. But like I say, Team Premier, y'all my people, man. If y'all got shows on YouTube and you got you an intro or outro, hit me up. Email it to me, and I'll throw it in there in one of my time slots. I'll throw it in there. What's up, North Philly? So I'm going to get into this next commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about what we can do besides reparations. Because reparations is going to destroy us. I'm serious, people. You're going to have people running around. See, right now you got a lot of people with that skin lightening cream. This is the comedian not talking. You got a lot of people with that skin lightening cream out here trying to be light skinned. And now when the reparation checks come out, they're going to be like, man, hey, I want my check. I'm black. They were like, I don't know about you. Then when they test the blood, they were like, oh, yeah. Go and get that one right there, check. You know, you got these people ready to bleaching their skin, all kinds of stuff. They gonna bring black folks back. They gonna, you know, and then, you know, moms and dads gonna be telling their kids, man, look, don't bring no white girl home. I don't want my check getting cut. You know what I'm saying? Don't even bring no light skinned girl home. You know what I'm saying? Get you a chocolate drop. You know what I'm saying? They gonna say, man, get your chocolate drop. Don't bring no light skinned girl home, man. You know, and this is the thing about it. Y'all need to see that movie, right? Get your chocolate drop. Don't bring no light skinned girl home, man. You know, so we don't want our check cut around here. See, that's what the Indians are going through. I've been out there. It makes people think they're racist. Those are some good people when you get to know them. But out of all seriousness, when you go out there to the reses, they don't want you out there because they know how the girls and the guys in the younger generation on the reses, they know they want to be a part of regular America. But the older Indians are trying to teach the younger Indians, we know y'all want to be down with the hip hop culture, but this is our culture. And if you mix and mingle with blacks and whites, they're going to take our land. They're going to take our checks. Thank you, Mary, for joining. So basically what's happening is you're going to bring that type of reality to the black community. You're going to have people not being able to date a little light-skinned girl he might like down the street. Like, man, mom ain't going to accept her. You know, mom, man, I can't bring her home, man. Mom ain't going to accept her, man. She too light. She too light and bright. I gotta keep it moving, man. You know, and we shouldn't be like that. But I'm gonna get into this next commercial break, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about what we can do. Thank you, Paul, for joining. What we can do to combat social, racial, and economic inequality in the black community to get us up there. Because I'm not just gonna leave you with we shouldn't have reparations. I'm not just gonna leave you with that. I'm also going to tell you what we can do, steps we can take in order to come up and be just as wealthy in this country as whites. We'll be back.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Welcome back to the Daily Read, and I'm your host, Marcus Gentry. And like I went over before, okay, did the Million Club. But like I was saying before on the first part of the show, I actually described myself as best I could, without going into too incriminating details. we all got a pass, you know what I'm saying? But I try to uplift my community, especially in the Nashville, Tennessee area, the Murfreesboro area. We Masons around here, we try, especially as Black Masons, we try to help our community around here. We feed homeless under the bridges here. We have cookouts to get money up to feed some of the people in the nursing homes. And a lot of us that are ex-gang members, people don't even realize that because we don't tell them. Most people don't even know. A lot of us are ex-gang members. And for my people out there who are wanting to get out, you can. It's not hard. Just move. America. Once you turn 18 years old, America is your playing ground. I found it out when I was 19 years old. Once I found out I can go anywhere in America I wanted to, I was out there. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Channel, for joining me. But let's get into the last part of the show, and we're going to talk about things that we can do in our community that's going to, thank you, Gospel Girl, for joining me. Things that we can do to combat the economic inequality in the races in this country. Number one, redlining. I can't go into detail because it'll take a whole show to go into detail about redlining, but I'm going to try to make it brief. Redlining is the practice that they did back in the Jim Crow era, where they put all the minorities, even Italians, because they didn't like Italians back then neither. They looked at Italians like they were black. They put people that they didn't like in a certain area close to manufacturing jobs, like warehouses and stuff like that. To this day, a lot of our ghettos, a lot of our projects, a lot of our low-income houses is still in those areas. So what happens is, if you're in that area, your schools are worse than the schools in the better areas. If you're in that area, you can't get loans. Because believe it or not, I found out through my research that a loan officer will get your address and look up the districting, and they can make a judgment on whether to give you a loan or not from where you live at. If you live in a prestigious neighborhood, a gated community where a lot of white people live at, your credit score can be a 550. They just might give you a loan just because you in that area alone. And people don't understand it. Your credit, a lot of your credit relies on where you live. And I know it blows people's mind when I tell them that. But a loan officer that wants to keep it real with you, he will tell you that. He will let you know, that's what it is. So that's number one, the whole red line. If you don't know what redlining is, I suggest you go back on one of my shows, because I talked about redlining about 6 months ago. Go back on one of my shows and look up redlining. So if you don't know about redlining, look it up. Redlining and the loans. Loans are, your credit and loans are the most important things you can do as far as a businessman, because you got to have overhead. You got to have some kind of funds in order to restock. And a lot of people start businesses on little of nothing. It don't take no more than $30 to go down there and get your business license. Thank you, Athena. D26, thank you. And Chinese word question mark. thank you for joining. But you have credit out here. You can get anything you want. They got ways that I'm gonna put it to you like this. There's this thing called trade lines. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard about. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard about trade lines, but white people teach their kids this, and I know because I had a friend named Brad Phillips. in high school who I overheard his dad talking about it, but I never knew what it was. And his dad was telling him about putting a trade line on his credit so he can get this Fiera. And I don't know if any of y'all is old as I'm 44 years old. So I remember them little Fieras people used to drive around. Them some little ugly cars people used to drive around. You know, that's the comedian coming back out. But them little ugly cars, man, cost a little change back then. So I remember his father telling him, thank you, ID 726. I remembered his father telling him to he was going to get a trade line put on his credit to get him that car. And years later, till I talked to a guy named Corey P. Smith. He's a financial guru. I interviewed him on this show. You can look back on my previous tapes on my previous shows and you can find that interview. Me and him talked about trade lines. Trade lines is what wealthy people use to boost their credit. They might have a 450 credit like you got. But when they go down there and pay $300, thank you, Classic Cookie, for joining. But when they go down there and pay that money and put trade lines on their credit jumps up 50 to 100 points. And then they can go down there and get a $40,000 credit card. See, we black people aren't taught that. I never knew anything about that until I did research on my own. So if they can open up credit for our small black businesses, stop the redlining, make it a little easier. Actually, when they go down the redlining, they need to cut redlining out altogether. They need to take those areas and those districts and rezone them just for factories only, just for industrial companies only, and move all of those people out of there into better areas. If the government has to help them, supplement them like Section 8, they need to. Matter of fact, if anybody up from Chicago, y'all know Cabrini Green got tore down. That's what they did with Cabrini Green. They basically rezoned it and made Cabrini Green into some kind of fancy, middle income apartments. But that's what they did with Cabrini Green, And another thing they did with Cabrini Green, thank you, Evelyn, for joining, which made me mad when they tore them projects down. All the bad kids over there got spread out all over the city. It was bad everywhere. It used to be just bad over there. When they tore them down, they got spread all over the city. but now on the real side though, you got to find a place for these people. Once you get rid of these red zone areas and turn them into balls. You got to be from Chicago, Barry. You got to be from Chicago. You know about Cabrini Green. It used to be bad as hell over there. Everybody over there just bad. And when they tore them down, they just went all over the city, bad everywhere. But when you rezone places like that, you got to help these people get into better places and better areas, and you got to give them some kind of supplement, not forever, because you want to wean them off of it. Let them know, man, look, I did my daughters like that. I told my daughters when they were grown, man, look, y'all got 6 months. Y'all need to live in my basement. It ain't happening. They got my one daughter joined the military. She up out of here. And my other daughter, she went damn near got married. She said, Dad ain't playing. He finna kick us out of here. So and it's things we could do in our communities, man. And another thing, we got multi-millionaires out here, multi-billionaires out here that's in the black community. They can come together and start their own banks. It's needed. I don't know why you got all these multi-millionaire football players, basketball players, rap stars. They'll go buy a gold chain that's worth $100,000 instead of going back into their communities and picking out 5 or 6 people, putting them in a work program to teach them how to maintain a job, and buying them a house and say, look, I'm not going to charge you $1,500 a month. I'm going to charge you $700 a month for this beautiful house. Accept it, take it, get in it. You see, that's them boss moves right there. That's how you bring up your community. That's how you bring up your black community. So there are things we can do in our communities that's gonna bolster. Thank you, Ariel, for joining. There are things in our community that we can do to bolster us economically without having to rely on some reparations, because it's not gonna happen. You know, these people out here are basically throwing reparations in people's faces because they want your vote. Every 4 years, when a black politician jumps up there like Shirley Lee made me so mad. I don't know who lives in her state. I think she's from Texas. But Shirley Lee made me so mad. Last year she got on stage in front of a group of black multimillionaires and told them that she's fighting for reparations. I thought about that and I looked at that crowd. It was a black tie affair. It was a white tie affair, a white bow tie affair. And I'm seeing all these beautiful black people dressed in tuxedos worth millions. She's trying to get them to donate money to her for her campaign. And she's telling all of these wealthy people that she's fighting for blacks' reparations. It was laughable. Thank you, Miss Armstrong, for joining. It was almost laughable. And if I'm ever in the crowd and I see a black politician jump up there talking about he's fighting for reparations, I'm going to tell him exactly how you finna do this. You know, who finna get their head cut? Who's finna get cut? Who gonna get it and who's not? Thank you, Jean Bay, 1805. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but thank you for joining. I got my phone over here, but I can see I had to learn my own technical skills when I started my podcast 2.5 years ago. So I got my phone over here, but I got it hooked up to my television so I can see when people join in. But you know, I want to open up these phone lines and get some calls in, because I want to hear. Yeah, come and open up these phone. I'm gonna open up these phone lines because I want to hear what you guys think about this. And your opinion matters. If you curse too many times, I know people get passionate about the things that they go through and the things that they hate about the government in this country. I might let a cuss word slip, but if you just go on a cursing rant, I'm gonna cut you off. So call in, and I'm gonna go ahead and open up the phones now. That'll give people more time. That I have about 15 more minutes for the show. But go ahead and call in. Anybody want to call in? And while we wait, I'm also bring up this issue with the girl that married the English guy. I knew that was coming. The whole they wanted to know what color skin the baby was gonna be. The Merkel girl over there in England, the black girl from America that married the white guy over there. I knew that was coming. I don't usually do gossip news. I try to stay away from that. I try to keep some real stuff to you guys. But you know, they done pull Oprah out the mothballs. That's the comedian coming back out. They done pull Oprah Winfrey out the mothballs. I thought she done retired and she got them old raggedy horses out there on her ranch. She starving them horses out there. I'm thinking Oprah done retired and out there tending to her starved horses, and she done popped back up like a jack in the box. Oprah done popped back up and did one of the best interviews I've ever seen. I was glued to the TV. I don't know if some of y'all seen it or not, but I already knew it was coming. You know, they were the first colonizers, the English. So when she married them, I already knew that it was going to be some problems. They made it seem like everything was cool over there, but I could look at that queen they got over there, and I could tell she wasn't really happy about that. But I'm going to open up these phone lines, and you guys go ahead and call. And for those of you who are not in my family, the number is 615-869-7949. Again, the number is 615-869-7949. So if you want to call in and give your opinion on about what you heard today, call in. You know what I'm saying? I shut my phone lines down the last time I did this because I didn't know how things was going to work with being on Big O Live and then I'm streaming on iHeartRadio. I didn't know how this was going to play out, but it worked out. It actually worked out okay. So if you want to call in and give your opinion, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I cut you off, man. If you get too crazy with it, I know how to push the button on you. I get rid of you. So if y'all want to call in to the show, give me your opinion. What else been going on in the news? Alex Jones. Oh my God. The weirdo is back. I forgot about Alex Jones. Alex Jones was a star Trump supporter and a weirdo for 4 years. He finally came out on a live interview and said he wished he never met Trump. I was shocked. Now, I don't know how many of y'all actually follow politics. I'm a political guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a political guy. And when I seen that interview he did, I wish I could pull it up. But when I seen that interview, let me see if I can pull it up. When I seen that interview he did, I was shocked, people. I was really shocked. Alex Jones. The man flat out said he wish he would have never met Trump. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me see. Thank you for joining me, Rampantone. Thank you for joining me. Oh, let me see if I can pull that up for you. I love bringing my audience some real stuff, man, that they can grab on to, man. And like I say, most of this stuff you guys can study yourself, but it don't be on our people's minds. You know, I always tell, thank you, Shorty, for joining me. I always tell people, man, from high school, white people are sent into, they play sports too, but from high school, a lot of them are sent into their father's business or their father's pawn shop, you know, or some kind of industrial work. We put a football and a basketball in our hand and send our kids out. White people, grandmothers will go out and teach them how to shoot. Black grandmothers say, I don't want no guns in my house. Don't bring that in my house. There's a difference. So the first time that minorities, most of us, put a gun in our hand, it's illegal. We don't even know how to shoot it, but we got one. I know gangbangers right now got pistols, don't even know how to clean them. It might backfire on them. Right now, I know gangbangers right now, right around this area. They walk around with Tech 9s hanging out their pocket. And they don't realize they can kill themselves fooling around like that. And it's strange. But it's real. This is real life. This is not the stuff you're not gonna see this on TV. You know. Alex Jones. This was crazy, this interview. I mean, he was but that only goes to show you that the guy was here it is.
First tonight, our report on the incendiary.
Don't want y'all to listen to this. I want y'all to listen to Alex Jones say he wish he would have never. This was wild.
It was a little.
I know. I'm sorry I didn't blow him up. I know, but I did something bad though. And I said, how crazy is it that liberal trannies are now the victim?
Could get in front of. Or's got a temporary White House press pass.
See, I started my podcast to fight guys like this.
After the election,
you see, Alex Jones.
You have said.
Alex Jones, Rush Limbaugh,
to the U.S.
The Hannity report. Guys like that was spitting out all kinds of trash about Obama. Obama wasn't a bad president at all. He might not have done some things black folks wanted him to do, but his hands was tied because you had a Republican ran Senate and a Republican ran House of Representatives. So he couldn't do a lot of the things he wanted us to do. Thank you, Ella, for joining me. But my thing is, he wasn't that bad of a president. Donald Trump was horrible. I mean, horrible. We haven't had a president this outright bigoted since Nixon. Nixon and the guy that Nixon ran against was worse than him. Go back and look on the history of Nixon when he ran for president against let me think of this guy's name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But Nixon ran against a guy. Thank you, Ernest, for joining in. Nixon ran against a guy. See, Nixon was the type of racist that as long as y'all blacks stay over here, y'all good. But if y'all come over here, it's going to be a problem. That's the type of racist Nixon was. The guy he ran against was the type of person who says, we don't want you in the country, period. We're going to come in your neighborhoods and step on your neck. That's the kind of guy that Nixon ran against. So we haven't had a president like this that was just wide open, bigoted like this since Nixon. And I'm gonna tell you something else that goes along with our economic downfall. Ronald Reagan. See, a lot of people don't understand Ronald Reagan, when he started locking up hundreds of thousands of blacks, taking the fathers out the household, that damaged us as a race of people. Because now the woman has to step up and be the mother and the father in the household. So when the men get out of prison, she doesn't want to get authority back to the man. That's some deep stuff. I want y'all to think about that. That's deep. When you got 2 or 3 generations of black women struggling to take care of her kids, they clapping, they butt cheeks clapping out here, they selling drugs, they working hard, they doing all kinds of stuff to make money for her and their kids. Thank you, Disha, for tuning in. It's hard for her to just say, okay, now you take back over. She will be like, man, look, we ain't been needing you. Why we need you now? That's the kind of damage that Ronald Reagan did to the black community with his war on drugs. Cocaine been in this country since the beginning of this country. They used to have little snuff cans that the old English used to walk around with cocaine in it. But when blacks started making profit off of it, and blacks started going into restaurants and hotels with mink coats on, big old minks and big old rings on their fingers, now it's a problem. So now we got to do something about the drug epidemic. And that's basically what happened. So when they start snatching up the gang leaders, the fathers, the uncles, giving them 20 years, 30 years, now you got a whole feminized race of young men out here. I talked to my nephew, and some of y'all might disagree with me because some of y'all might wear these type of clothes. I don't know. I talked to my nephew not too long ago, and I'm trying to get serious here for a minute because he might watch my show if he ain't in jail. He said, man, what's up, Unc? This is what I wear, man. This is style. I said, that look like girl pants. You walking around with some skinny. When I say this stuff with skin tight people, I don't even know. I think he rolled them on. I think he rolled them on his body. I don't know how he got them on his body. I said, man, if you don't go take some of that, if you don't go take that off, it was crazy. And that's what and when you raised by Big Mama and them and Mama and them, you raised to treat a woman how a woman feels she should be treated and how she thinks a man should act. When we men raise men, we teach them how to shave, how to wear the right colognes, how to act properly, how to shave your beard properly, how not to put on certain clothes. You don't wear that. Them girl pants. Take it off. There's a difference. Thank you for joining, Knock. And I hope that I'm giving some of you men out there a lesson in reality too. Because a lot of these young men out here are also very deeply emotional. Because I remember back when I was gang banging, we'll pull up on you, jump out and beat you up. These kids are scared to get into any kind of physical fight at all. They'll shoot you and then start crying because they know they're going to jail. Let me see what that was. Stay down. Thank you for joining. Tiffany, thank you for joining me. But yeah, we'll pull up on you. When I'm 44 years old, we'll pull up on you and give them heads up. We'll all the gang on that side, gang on this side, will circle up, give you heads up. Once you get to fighting, once it's over with, y'all hug, make up, man, it's over with. These young men out here emotional. Too emotional. And it's sad. That comes from generation to generation of having single parent, mother raised households. And it goes both ways because I raised my daughters. My daughters are tomboys. One of my daughters in the military right now. I got videotapes of her shooting at M16. She's a beast. She know how to break it down, clean it, put it back together. And my other daughter, she good with them hands. My oldest daughter, she good with them hands. You know, she done chased away many of my girlfriends. Like, nah, you ain't good for my daddy. Get up out of here. Nah, you get up out of here. We don't want you around here. I done seen my oldest daughter chase a couple. I tell my girlfriend all the time, look, man, don't let my daughters chase you off, man. You know, just tell them, man, look, because people might be like, oh, I heard that one before. So, but this one right here comes with the whole, like Drake brought the light skinned people back. You know, he brought the light skin in. This reparation gonna bring the dark skinned people in. everybody going to do the chocolate drop. They gonna say, man, I gotta find me a chocolate drop. He get that check. Thank you, Keto, for joining in. Yeah, they gonna bring the chocolate men back, the chocolate drop. You gotta find me a chocolate man, you know, cause we can't be getting the check cut, man, fooling with them light skinned people. You know, we're gonna leave them over there so they can clap the cheeks for the beans. We gonna clap cheeks for the beans. Thank you, Ambitious, for joining me. I love y'all, man. Y'all some good people, man. And you know what? I hope and pray that I can be a good addition to the Premier family. Stay there. Thank you, man, for joining in. Abdullah Mohim, thank you for joining me. Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna bring the chocolate drops back, man, with this chick, man. You know, cause we can't be. I'm telling the girls, man, don't be bringing no light skinned boy up in here, man. Might get the check cut. Hey, when I bring my show, I bring it live. I research what I talk about. I don't play no games with it. I'm not gonna bring you nothing that I have know about. If I gotta set my show off a week and study some more on it, I'll talk about something else on my show before I bring you something I haven't researched. And believe me, when I tell y'all that this reparations, you got them chocolate bars, you got you got them chocolate drops. That's for the check. That's for that reparation bill. Oh my God, this is too crazy. But and if y'all ever seen my stand up, man, go check out my stand up. I also do, if any of y'all ever in the Nashville, Murfreesboro area in Tennessee, y'all take a vacation or something, hit me up and we can do a comedy skit. And you know what I'm saying? Cause I find people local. You know what I'm saying? It's some local models around here. Mina has a modeling agency around here. And I find females down there, man, that want to do modeling, but they're local models. They're not famous. And I talk to them, be like, hey, man, don't you want to do a comedy skit? You know, it get you some notoriety on YouTube. They be like, yeah, come on. So I got a couple of comedy skits that I've done on YouTube, and it's funny. I got one on there we did called Baby Mama Crazy Mama. Y'all need to check that out. That is funny. I'm talking about funny. I got my cousin in on that. She's too funny. You know what I'm saying? The whole time I'm thinking it's a real baby. It's a baby doll. Y'all need to check that. That one right there is going down in the history books of funny. But I want to thank y'all. I think
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.